Oh, didn't mean to advance slides. Sorry.
Okay, so let's see where everybody's from here. Murphy, I think you're the only one I can't unmute because without making you a panelist. Okay, so we have got Wisconsin, Vancouver, Washington, Graham, Washington. Nice.
Where's Graham?
Good question.
It's right outside of Tacoma.
Oh, okay. Oh, I've never heard of it.
Renton. Okay, perfect.
Well, I know some of you are having some really windy weather, and I hope your internet holds up throughout this process. And those of you on the East Coast, it's a later class for you, so thanks for joining.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. And so I'm doing this switch series, I think most of this year for the webinars. So hopefully we'll get some information here that you'll find helpful. And then I have some, and we can share information with each other. And today we're going to be talking about using switches to allow students to have access to their academics. So I'm Heidi Brislin. I work for the Edmonds School District. 4 days a week and 1 day a week I work for CCC. So I'm excited. I'm learning with you guys because I don't think anyone is ever an expert at everything switch, and just about the time you feel like you are, something changes and you're not. I'm going to let Brenda introduce herself.
Yeah, I'm Brenda Monte, and I'm a speech language pathologist, and I specialize in AAC, but my ongoing caseload is alternative access to AAC, so switches and eye gaze. So it's fun. Heidi and I are decided to do this one together.
All right, next slide, Miss Brenda. Okay, and so this was just from the description of the, this whole series is basically looking at giving you some strategies to use with your kids beyond the pink pig, just the walking toy over and over again. You can do some fun things with the pink pig, so I'm not a total hater of the pink pig, but sometimes you gotta shake up what the pink pig is doing. But just to kind of come up with some just ideas to, really work on switch access. It's such a important skill to be able to really, for the students we work with, to be able to live independent lives, as independent as possible, because it kind of opens a whole world for them. So when we're done today, we are hoping that you can come up with one tool that you can talk about for math, science, and literacy activities that you could possibly use. And we kind of broke it into sections. And so at the end of each section, if you have an idea, we're going to add that to the slide, because I find that there's some great minds always on these calls, and we learn a lot from you as well.
And I would just say that not to get too stuck on mastering switch access before you apply it to academics. And because in the way that you can do that, sometimes we'll talk throughout about what we're looking at, and ways that we can let kids learn about math and science and literacy without testing them on math, science, and literacy activities, because they are still not 100% on their access method. So we'll just kind of keep that in mind. So we're starting with reading. So we obviously have switch activities where you can, there actually is switch activated book page turners. Wow, it's gonna be that kind of day, sorry. And switch activities where you can talk about books, switch activities with, I like to use books with reoccurring phrases and put the reoccurring phrase on a switch. So, but he was still hungry, or whatever it is, so that you can do some shared reading experiences, reading a book with the step-by-step with reoccurring phrases that go together. So where there's more than one line that repeats, you can set them up to have to hit the switch several times in sequence.
And can I hop in there quick, Brenda? So the other thing that to remember about those step-by-steps is you can hook a regular switch, so just like a jelly bean switch or a spec switch or a proximity switch, into that step-by-step. So if you are working with an access point that the step-by-step is really kind of awkward to mount there, you can just mount any of your switches there. So you can use it if you're looking at a knee placement or foot or head. So just remember that you don't have to worry about mounting the step-by-step per se, you just need to hook it up with a different switch.
Yeah, and we have handouts for books that with reoccurring phrases for young children, and we have books with phrases that we would recommend for age respectful older kids. And when Heidi is sharing her screen, I'll try to hop over and grab some links for you guys. And then there's Tar Heel Reader. Are we going to get into that in more detail then right now?
No, not really. So we can chat about that a little bit.
Yeah, Tar Heel Reader is where there's books that are created and you can create your own, and they are switch accessible, so you can match a reading level. And there are recorded webinars completely on Tar Heel Reader, which is probably why we're not going to get into it all today, but it's something to look at. And then PowerPoint and Google Slides can be advanced through switch access to your computer.
Or your Chromebook.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
And then Pictello, I also have a Tuesday tip. So it's like a 2-minute video on how to tell stories, write stories, use photos to make your own, either made up stories or, personal stories that are true, and Pictello is switch accessible as well. So again, when I'm not the one sharing my screen, I'll try to throw some links in there so you can save the chat at the end and have access to that.
All right. And then Book Creator is another tool that you can use. It's a fun way to create books. You can set those to be, with your space bar and enter, can set those to be accessible. The one thing I wanted to talk about, I learned this at a switch webinar that I went to at Closing the Gap this year, is like if you're reading a book, say like The Three Little Pigs and the big bad wolf is going to blow the house down, you can set up a fan or a hair dryer, and every time they huff and they puff, then your switch user can activate the fan to be the wind. Or like Walter the Farting Dog, you could have a switch accessible fart machine, and so every time they hear the word fart in the book, they could access. So a good way to get those multiple switch activations per day so that they can work on refining that skill. And that can be just as fun and clever and creative as you want to come up with, but those are just a few that would be kind of cool.
That's so funny. So a letter spinner could be done on your screen, like on a computer. There's what is it called? There are on-screen spinners, but there's also switch activated spinners that would allow you to put letters, sounds, pictures, words, and make even sight word work fun. And I think we show that later on.
Yeah, and I think that I find the spinners in both of my districts are always in the cupboard, that nobody pulls them out to use them. And I think they're one of the most underused switch activated toys, because it just takes a set of numbers if you're doing math and Velcro to stick it on and use the spinner. You don't have to create a crazy custom little spinner shape. You can just stick them on there, and you can do all sorts of literacy activities with that. So pull those spinners out. Yes,
I'm a home-based speech pathologist right now, and in a lot of what I do, and that is one of the things I actually own, because it's so versatile for switch access, and it keeps it lively, right? Because whatever it lands on, you got to do. And my OT asked if they could borrow it because they wanted to put all the motor activities, and so whatever it lands on, they have to do. And I was like, get your own. No, we share. Okay, and the voice output switch is also can answer questions and participate in activities, which is kind of what we talked about with reoccurring phrases as well. Just real quick in the chat, list one of these things that you've used before, and then one of these things that you want to try. We just like to know if we're hitting the mark here. Lauren's used a book with a step-by-step. Yeah, me too. I like that a lot. Reading a book with a step-by-step. Yeah. Want to try the spinner thing. Where do you get it?
Enabling, I'm sure it's on AbleNet or enabling devices.
I think I got it. I got it from enabling devices.
Amazon, you can get everything.
Well, sure. That's true too. Use target reader, sound effects, a creator. Ooh, Irene's on them all. Shoot. Murphy wants to try the fart machine. So you know, also, if you find a fart machine that I don't know how to adapt the fart machine actually.
I think you can adapt the remote control to battery interrupter.
Oh, the remote control. Okay. I forgot that they come with that. I was thinking of a whoopee cushion. No, the fart, yeah, you just use a battery interrupter, which you can also get on Amazon. Trying the sound effects. Yeah, that sounded fun to me too.
I think the sound effects sound super fun. I have not done that yet, so that's definitely on a to-do list for me.
Kathy says that you can use a flick switch that will fart also.
I don't know what that is. You'll have
I don't either. What's a flick switch?
You can unmute Kathy and tell us what a flick switch is.
It's a Bluetooth switch, and it's really easy to press, and it's small. Let me see.
Who makes it?
Flick. It's its own little entity.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it for you. But it's Bluetooth is what's pretty about it.
So if you have a fart machine that's Bluetooth compatible, is that what you're doing?
It's not a fart machine. It's actually a sound that came with the Flick.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Because I used it, let me see, the Flick app. Here, let me just.
This is, I know this is something I need in my life.
I know, it's like sitting here writing it down.
All right, hold on. I'll just send you the link in the chat.
Oh, do that in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah. I just went and I looked it up. But this is just the Flick app, but it will bring you, to what you need to know. So yeah, I use that for just to get people. I have a woman who has ALS. And so we're just trying out things because she has mobility in her head. So we're just trying out tiny little things for her as she progresses and what works for her and what doesn't. And so just for fun, I brought the Flick Switch because it is adaptable and it's Bluetooth, which is nice. So you can put it anywhere. So she was just like riding around and farting around all the nurses and she was having them all. So,
that's hilarious. I'm just pulling it up right now. I know we're digressing, but if it loads quickly, I'll show us.
I'm going to mute because I'm eating dinner too.
No problem. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Oh, it doesn't look like it's loading. All right. Well, it's in the chat, you guys. Okay. So in GoTalk now, I set up. So GoTalk now is possibly something that people are using for AAC, and that's true. I actually end up using GoTalk now more for academics than I do for communication. And so when I set up this, I set up phonemic awareness activities where I'm doing videos with stamp it out, clap it out, stretch it out, the stuff from Muscle Wipe. Tongue twisters. I have beginning sounds where they can touch the letter and hear the sound. So the scan, and on phonics too, the scan may be the letter A, B, C, and when they hit the switch, it might say K, C says K or whatever. And I also have kind of a test on there where I set up like where it says like cat is at the top, and it says cat starts with a, and then I have an A, B, and a C. And if they pick the A, it says try again. If they pick the B, it says try again, right? If it hits the C, it says that's right. Cat starts with C, and that's the button that links to the next slide, right? So you can kind of create, I mean, you have to have all kinds of time on your hands or a plane ride. But and yeah, but you can set up with so many opportunities there. Let's see, shared reading. So I have my own bookshelf on here, and I have books in all kinds of books on here, and I can just pull this up on my iPad if you guys want to see this in more depth, but I know we have a lot to cover, so I just wanted to like just throw up kind of literally what I have in behind. And this is kind of before comprehensive literacy for all, so this was just using the features from National Reading. I can't remember the association's name now. And then, yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, and I like to use go to Storytime, is it Storytime Online or Storyline, that has like the famous people read some of the stories, and I'll record that YouTube little video, and I'll put it in GoTalk and do like, you know, however many choices I feel like they can, you know, successfully make. If you're starting to work on like beginning scanning, whether it's auto scanning or step scanning, and then they can pick the book and have it read to them. And so again, some of that independent reading, if you're looking at the, you know, comprehensive literacy work, GoTalk now is a great place to put that.
Yeah, it's just I mean, I have probably 80 some odd books in my GoTalk Now app. I don't know where the limit is. I'm sure I'll find it and I'll let you know. But the amount of pages and books and things that you can create on here seems to be endless. So I'm loving the flexibility to be able to meet a kid's literacy needs right where they are on this. And I don't know, I think when we have several recorded webinars on how to program GoTalk Now, if that's not something that you're familiar with. So on our YouTube channel, guys, we've already talked about 3 or 4 of these already. So on our YouTube channel, you can search GoTalk Now, you can search Pictello, you can search Switch activities, and all recorded videos and Tuesday tips and things like that on that category. Under those categories are there. Any questions on this? Anything you want to see specifically, or are we good to, I want to do what you guys want. I want to show you what you want to see, or if you want to tuck it away, and if we have time at the end, that's fine too.
And Linda, I see you had make a soundboard in Docs, and I have not used soundboard very much. So that's kind of one of my little to-do things, is to figure out, do you want to unmute and tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, what's that?
I haven't used it either, but I just saw it come through the Twitter feed last week or the week before, and I thought it was kind of fascinating. It's just basically embedding sounds into a document and then being able to access them. I mean, I could see playing around with switches to be able to access them. This was really for a teacher, I think, to be able to play sound effects during a game or something like that.
Oh,
But
cool.
I think you could, I mean, just put a couple of them on a page to have opportunities to make farts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you could do all sorts of sound effects with that then. So if you're reading a book about birds, you could have bird noises.
Absolutely,
or,
yeah.
You know, that's a great idea, because I think giving, you know, making it come alive and fun and interactive, I mean, that's really how we all kind of learn best anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
And the second link I put in there was the directions for how to make that board.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome.
Nice. I'll get these on the our suggestion part. Okay. All right. How many of you have used any of the Help Kids Learn activities? Just say yes or no in the chat. I've got some hands raised. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so yes and no. So this is a subscription service. And Brenda, do you want to let me just share at this point?
Sure.
Okay. So before I share, it's a subscription service, and it has, there are 3 different types of subscriptions you can get. So there's one that's like help kids learn games and activities. And so those are a lot of like you working on teaching one switch skill or 2 switch skills. And basically you hit the switch and something happens. So like the car, there's one where the car goes through the car wash with the man in the car. And so it's the different steps of him going to the car wash. So each time you activate the switch, it advances through the car wash. So those are some kind of beginning switch skill activities. And then if you look at like Choose It Maker or the Ready Mades, which are part of Choose It Maker as well, and I'm going to share my screen just so you can, we're going to talk about how to set it up with switches and everything. The beauty of the Help Kids Learn activities is they are switch accessible. So it's built right in. So you just have to go to settings and say whether you're using 1 switch, 2 switch, set your time for your scan. You can use them on an iPad, a Chromebook, a laptop, PC, a Mac. So they're, accessible, on all devices that you might have at your school. Used to be you had to purchase a like Choose It Maker app for your iPad. And so now they're, everything is going through the web browser. So Safari or Google or whatever you're using with that. So as we get into these activities, I'm going to hook up my switches. And so what I have here at home currently is I have an old Don Johnson Switch Interface Pro. And if you guys have these, they don't make them anymore, but if you have these, don't throw them away because they do really amazing things. I participated in a webinar in I participated at ATIA last year, and this one gal, and she can make it do 18 different things at once. So it can have 18 different functions. So, and they're super easy to use. And so if you are using a Chromebook or a computer with a USB drive, you can just plug it right in. And if you are using something that has the USB 3, I think is what it's called, you're going to need to get one of these little adapters for like $20, but that's so much cheaper than a switch interface. So I'm on my laptop here, so it will actually, I have a USB port on this one still. So let me plug this in. Maybe I'm going to plug it in. Maybe I shouldn't have unplugged it. There we go. Okay, and so these have, it's color coded, so it's really like a nice no-brainer. So like if you do green, your keystroke functions are going to be up, down, left, right, and enter. Blue is space and enter. Tab, switch tab, backspace. We're going to use space and enter. So I'm going to make sure my light is blue. And then I am going to plug I've got a pad switch here, and it's plug it into space. And then I'm going to put my spec switch into the enter hole. So when we're showing these activities, I'll be using my switches to go through them. So you can see they're like super, super easy. So and we are going to be looking at ready-mades. And sometimes I think that's a really good way. They have, we'll look at the literacy ones. They have literacy, numeracy, and science. And so sometimes if you've got a teacher, like a lot of teachers right now feeling like totally overwhelmed, the ready-mades might be, or a family feeling overwhelmed, the ready-mades are probably like a really great place to start. If you, want to do more creating your own kind of activities to follow along with like whatever book you're teaching, or, to check for some comprehension, getting a subscription to Choose It Maker is a good place to do that, because that's where you create all of your own activities. So, I've got one set of teachers that I work with and they love Choose It Maker and they want to make their own activities. I've got another set that's like, give me the ready-made. So let me share my screen here. So for this one, and I think maybe while we're here, Brenda, how do you, I can just kind of show something for all three of them so we're not popping back and forth here.
Yeah, no, do it.
Okay.
Well, you can, I think you can just run it from here. I
Okay.
mean, I don't need to be the one sharing. I'm throwing in links as you talk.
Okay, and that's fine. The wind has died down, so I think we're in good shape. So let me move this. Okay, so literacy, there are tons of activities. So there's activities to work on listening skills, initial sounds, initial letters, initial sound blends. I can't see what the one with the question mark is because my thing is right there. Let me move it. Tricky high frequency words, alphabet, everyday words. So lots of different things. Anybody have any area you want me to go in and look at one? Anybody want to have a area they're dying to look at? All right, I'm going to go to tricky high frequency words. I haven't looked there, so we're going to look at that one. So, oops, sorry about that. So here are some, let's go ahead and turn one of these on and see what they have us do. So it tells you how many pages they are, and of was me. Let's look at that one. So it's going to load the activity, and when it loads the activity, you see this little setting wheel up here. It's on the upper right. If you click on that, you can select your access method, whether it's going to be a mouse, a touch, one switch, and then you can set your scanning speeds or two switches. I'm going to switch it to two switches. So let's see what it has to say. So you can click on here. Oh, I should share my screen. I mean, my sound. Hold on. Okay. Let's see.
Of was.
So then you have to find and match was. So you want to find was. So I'm going to do my
Me.
Touch the switch to activate it, and then we're going to go to the next one.
Was.
And then second switch here.
Me.
Okay, and then the same thing. You just
Of. Was. Me. Of.
Okay, so that's some of them are way more fun than that one. That one is not the most exciting one. So let's go back to the literacy and let's see what listening skills looks like. So since we were talking about sounds, let's see what human sounds have to say.
Of.
And once you are in here and you set your switch settings, it stays like that for every activity that child is doing.
Hello.
So that's really a nice feature. So here I'm going to start my scan and say I select it. Say I select this one. No, that's not it.
Hello.
I'm like, I wonder if that's the sound. I can go up here and select.
Hello.
Oh, yes, I'm looking for hello.
Hello. Goodbye. Goodbye. Hello.
All right, I'm going to stop us there. And so all sorts of different activities that you can work on. You can set if they don't like to have the little reward at the end, you can take that off. If there are kids who really need that to know they got it right, you can do that as well. So any questions? Have any of you used the Choose It Maker ready-mades? Okay, new to me. Yeah, and they're pretty reasonable. You can kind of, I find it's like, I'll usually get like a subscription of 5, and I think it's like $100 a year or something. you can use that like in one classroom and different things. So just depends on how much you're using it. And their prices are pretty reasonable for what you get for this. So I'm gonna scooch back over here and stop my share. Okay, and then I'm going to catch up with us here. Okay, so I was hoping that today, I'm going to just full disclosure here, I was hoping I would have had time to go through Boardmaker and show you all of they have four different curriculum activities in there, and show you how to use those with switches. But I've been dealing with moving my mom to an assisted living, and so I have not gotten there. So question I have is, we can talk about the two curriculums that do literacy briefly today. There's some links, and would a webinar on how to use the curriculum in Boardmaker for literacy be something that you guys would be interested in? Because we're putting together our webinar series for the spring, and this is something we certainly can explore and do together. I can look at putting one of these together. So any thoughts on that? Yes, yes. Okay, well, that will make my webinar thing easy. So just to kind of let you know, so there's core, I think it's called Core First, and it is a whole core word vocabulary. And so there's a new app so there's a Boardmaker we're all used to using where you make visuals. And so then there's this whole, if you go into my Boardmaker and you look at curriculum, there's this whole curriculum that Carolyn Musselwhite and Karen Erickson and that whole group who has done so much work on comprehensive literacy have been working on developing. So it's evidence-based. So the two that I kind of highlighted here is their Reading Avenue. And so there's like 1,000 pre-made literacy activities, 120 books to build comprehension. The students have to have the Boardmaker student app, and that can be installed as a app on their Chromebook or on their laptop or on the iPad. So there's multiple ways you can use this. And they have printable lesson plans, letters and communication to parents to support each unit, and communication supports as well. So there's a lot of really lovely tools in there. And I put a link to a white paper that talks about like all of the research there. So that is one of them, is Reading Avenue. And I will plan to do a webinar in the spring on these. And then the other one that they have is Boardmaker Book Bridge. And so it's a lot of like books that there are two different strands of this. So there's second and third grade and fourth and fifth grade. And so it's a lot of books that kids in that grade level are reading. And it's a program that gives elementary students access to grade level literature. There's fully scripted lesson plans, there's activity sets, there's a culminating lesson and a quiz at the end of the unit. So and they're all accessible. And so that's the nice thing about those. So we can learn those things together.
Heidi, we have a question on this. Irene wants to know, do they let you purchase just the curriculum? I'm guessing she's asking do you have to purchase Boardmaker too?
No, it's all part of Boardmaker 7.
Oh, okay.
So that's what comes with it. So anyway, so unfortunately, I've seen it in action, but I haven't seen it in my speech therapist I work with, who's my AT team member in Edmonds, uses it like all the time, but she doesn't use it with switches. So I'll be excited. It's more to come on that. But if you have Boardmaker, start exploring what's in there, because there's some great gems in there. There's another, it's called Exploration and Adventure, and it has some social studies and science and some different things in there as well. So I'm going to change our slide here, Brenda. Very well done curriculum there. All right. So ideas that you guys have. We had the.
I'm gonna add the flick switch there. Somebody had a soundboard with docs. Any other ideas that you guys felt like were critical in the reading category?
going to look in the chat and see we had several great ideas. Books with, this is Brenda.
Yeah, I just put links in there while you were chatting.
I'm glad you're doing. I'm just not, my bandwidth isn't quite there today.
Honestly, yeah, I'm usually the one chatting and Sarah's putting the links in. So
we'll put the link here so we all have it. See if I can find a flick switch. Anything else? Anything you guys are using for literacy that you really like to use?
we touched them all. It's a comprehensive list. Oh. But it does have there's a lot to go off of just these ideas.
Yeah. So yeah, but if you, I love to share things that when that you guys come up with, because I always learn as well. Okay. So the next area is writing.
Sorry, that's me.
Usually me, Brenda. So okay. So some easy switch writing activities. How many of you have heard of the alternative pencil or watched any of the alternative pencil webinars, or is it something totally new to everybody? So Eileen is a yes. New. Okay, well, we're not going to do a whole refresher on the alternative pencil, but I'm going to give you a few. So basically what the alternative pencil is a letter strip. So it can be, this is, it was the concept in this particular model was developed at the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill Center for Literacy and Disability Studies by Gretchen Hanser, who is an OT. And basically you're using partner assisted scanning and you're the pencil. So these kids can go through the developmental stages of scribbling. There's no right or wrong letter to put down. And then you just write it on a paper and you can watch them go through the developmental stages of scribbling. So I've got a couple of webinars on the YouTube channel on this, so please. And then I think we have a quick tip that's coming out with the alternative pencils that are part of the Switch Access kit that's going to be going out. So what you could do is you could have, during writing time, you could have a step-by-step or voice output switch that says, that's it, or not that one, kind of what you're working on. So if you had you're working on two switches, you could have one that, whatever, it sounds kind of fun to say, that's it. So you basically go through and you say, do you want an A? And you wait. And I would say wait at least 10 seconds. Some kids, to do the motor plan to activate the switch is going to be 50 seconds. So you'll figure out from your student kind of what their latency time is. And then, do you want a B? And then if you get it's that one, you're going to write the B down. And then you start back at B again for those emergent literacy students, because what you see with normal development is that they'll write repeated letters in order is kind of the next stage. And so once they get more advanced, you can say, is it on this page? Nope. And then flip, is it on this page? Yep. Is it E? Yep. And so it gets faster. Initially, it's pretty slow, but it does get faster. And teaching your paras how to do this, it's the first group of paras I taught how to do this. They're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I actually have something that I'm actually doing something that's working on literacy. So super easy thing for that. You can use, and your alternative pencil can be something like this. I've got one here that is kind of laid out like a pod book that Linda Burkhart has put together. It can be your alphabet in your AAC. It could be like Keeble, a Switch accessible keyboard app. So there's a whole variety of things that you can use as your alternative pencil. It doesn't have to be this. This is something that's easy to keep in everybody's backpack or the writing cubby. When everybody goes to get their pencil, your student gets this for their pencil. Spinner writing, same thing. You could do the spinner and it'd be like, okay, we're going to just write, we're going to see what we write with the spinner. You could certainly do you have any ideas, Brenda? Have you done some spinner writing?
I haven't done spinner writing, but I'm just thinking as you're talking that we do have literacy kits that you can check out, and it's alternative access to literacy. So there, I believe, will be an iPad with GoTalk with some of what we're talking about on it for reading and writing. And then there's the alternative pencil you just showed in there. And then there's also a low-tech eye gaze boards. So if your literacy is your jam and access is your issue, that might be something worth checking out to be preloaded. I don't know if that's I don't know if it's in the lending library just yet. I think they were assembling those kits in the last week or so.
Well, I'm thinking about like spinner writing. Maybe you could pick just a bunch of letters and you could work on your alphabet and phonemic awareness. If you have like 8 letters on the spinner and your switch user hits the spinner and it lands on D, you're like, oh, D, I'm going to write D down, and D says da. What are some D words, or what are some D things you can see in the room? And
also, like, I'll have a book like Tiki Tiki Tembo, No So Rumbo or something, and I'll say, okay, what letter's next? And they get an R, and I say Ricky Ricky Rembo, Rofo, right? I just change whatever the reoccurring phrase is or thing, and then change the first letter of it. You can also write your own Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, because it doesn't really matter what letter order you're putting them on the tree. And so you can spin, and whatever letter comes up, comes up. I know we're going to run out of time though, Heidi. We got to move it.
Oh, gosh, I got to go fast. Sorry. Okay. We talked about these others, so we're going to go forward. So. Okay, Brenda, you're on with GoTalk. Do you need
so and I'll just be really quick on this. And there's a whole webinar on this, and I put it on the link because I knew it was coming at, but I write a story with GoTalk. When I do GoTalk now, they have, we read a book, and they can choose if they want to do comprehension, first letter, syllable work, or vocabulary. And so if they were to choose comprehension, it goes to this question page, and they get to answer questions. But if we're doing a writing task, then I flip the same page around and I say, once upon a time there was a, and again, they can pick a boy and a girl, and they can pick a first letter, and we can name that character. And when I write the story, I write all their words. Oh, there's spelled wrong. Yeah, their words in capital letters, and I underline the words that we got through a first letter. So one day there was a girl named Julie, and they love writing with switches. They love seeing what they're picking on their AAC device or on GoTalk, going into print, going in a book that somebody else can read, going home as a note. And so I use those same comprehension question words to and extension pages to write their own stories. And it's magical, you guys. They end up telling true stories. They end up saying something. I write everything down. I don't know what's true and what's not. And I send it home, and parents will reply back and say, oh my gosh, this actually happened. And I've had really cool things happen. I had this one girl talked about how the story was about a princess and Shrek and Chick-fil-A. And then mom said that happened. And I was like, how, what? And the niece had come over, and she was dressed up for the dance, and they kept calling her a princess. And the theme for the dance was Shrek, and they had no money. So they went to Chick-fil-A on the way to the dance. Like, it ended up being almost all true. Nothing I knew. So she was it also, writing can end up being a way to demonstrate just being a reliable reporter. So simple pages. And these are, I think they are available to be downloaded. Yes, in the literacy kits, there's a link to the GoTalk, to the way to download them straight to your iPad too.
Perfect. All right. If you have any ideas, let's pop them in the chat, and we're going to keep going. So the next area is math, and just some switch activities for math. They do make an alternative pencil. I don't have this one assembled with numbers on it. So same kind of things with that. There's a switch adapted pouring tool if you're learning how to measure or mix colors, or different things like that. There's a metronome app, and with a recipe, you could set the pace for counting, for the class counting. So those are just some easy kind of activities. Do you have any easy math ones, Brenda? Or I think you've got like a whole...
I just did some. So if you're in GoTalk now, I mean, I just do counting ones, and sometimes counting happens a lot in stories. And so, or they'll be writing our own story, or we'll say, okay, he's going to huff and he's going to puff before he blows the house down. How many huffs are we doing? Right. And so then they're going through and it's counting, and then, that's the one is whatever. So they're doing two-step scanning. And so anytime I can incorporate counting, I do. And then if you go, you can go to the pre-made grids, and then the user guide app shows you how to do that. And then you can see if you want to just, these are all pre-made boards ready to go from high to low.
Okay.
All those graphing things are there. And each of those 9 on the left there go to its own grid sets with doing graphing mapping, which I think is really, really cool. And all free with the app.
All right. And then I didn't know that, Brenda. I'm excited to play with that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And then again, Help Kids Ready-Mades, they have a whole numeracy section. It looks similar to, there's like counting up, counting down, telling time. If you're in the UK, you can do money, but they don't have American money yet. So pretty much just about anything for those, emergent numeracy skills is in there as well. Any ideas you guys have for math? Definitely those step-by-step voice output switches are great if they're counting and different things. All right, we're going to move to science. So some simple switch activities for science. You can do all sorts of things with the Power Link. And I don't know if any of you have been to my switch classes before, but I put the link to my fun, engaging switch activities. You can do some predicting, you can do some color things. With a Power Link, you can, do all sorts of crazy things. So Brenda, I don't know if you had a pouring tool with the activity you're going to show or not.
Yeah, I think it's next.
Yeah, okay. And the other thing was like, if you need someone to be able to tell the weather, look at putting the weather station app with a recipe so they can go and figure out the weather and come tell the classroom the weather when they do like, what's the weather today. Again, don't forget your spinners. You can work on all sorts of, we're going to do some addition and, okay, so 2, the spinner lands on 1. What do you think 2 and 1 are? And, some different things like that. So let's see, here is Brenda's. Is the video linked here or no?
I don't think it came on, but what I have is, it's like, what is that? It's vinegar and baking powder or whatever you put into the volcanoes to make them go. Anyways, what we did was we used the spinner, and they could pick what kind of like jack-o'-lantern they wanted on the spinner. So that's in the background there, that little picture up there. And then they picked the body part that they wanted the guts to come out of. So somebody picked mouth, somebody picked nose, somebody picked eyes. And then if you don't have AAC, you can just say, do you want me to cut out the eyes? Yes or no, right? And then we had a switch adapted pour. We actually have 2. We have the one that's in that picture there with the red background, but I actually like the one with the arm, because it was hard. We had to lift up that one to be tall enough. But anyways, they poured the vinegar, and it makes everything just get gross. And it was super fun and gross. And it was, of course, it was the science experiment, because it was like what happens when we put these chemicals together and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, it was really a hit. So again, the Boardmaker GoTalk now has basic science, like a 4 grid on do you feel it, hear it, smell it, taste it kind of things. And I thought it was really nice where they started with science in these pre-made boards while entertainment, because you didn't even necessarily have to have vision. And some of our kids that are switch access don't have great vision. And so we're approaching science from a couple different angles here. So these are boards you can do. And then it got very specific and high level as far as the vocabulary required. So I can see these going along with maybe unique to you or different science units.
All right, and then again, that Help Kids Learn Ready-Mades, I'm going to stop this share and do a new share, and we'll look at and see what some of the activities are in science, just to kind of give you an idea. So living things, materials, forces and electricity, light, sound, and space. They're always updating and adding things. So I am going to stop my share. And anybody have any thoughts or ideas about things that they've used for math or for science?
For science?
Anything you'll try? I'm thinking Brenda's jack-o'-lantern thing could be anything.
Oh, yeah.
It could be like, Santa, you could have like, Santa or presents, and what quarter of the present is it going to be? You could cut out a square, and you could do all sorts of things with that. So that's something I definitely want to try.
Anything that's just gross is a win, right? So that's why the fart thing is always a win. But I like that science piece to this. I feel like there was a website we got this off of. Let me just see if I can find it real quick or not. I mean, it's not about switch accessibility. It's okay. Oh no.
All right. Anything else anybody's going to try?
Oh, it's called the Dad Lab. There's a website
called the
Dad Lab, and there's all kinds of stuff that this dad puts on there that he does with his kids. And so sometimes we go on there to find creative activities, and then we figure out what part can we put on the switch, just because those are probably activities that haven't been overdone in school. That's where we got the jack-o'-lantern idea.
Okay. Well, are there any questions, any thoughts? Thanks for sharing part of your evening with us. I'm glad we didn't lose power here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks. Have a good night.